Hey Cowboys Nation, let's go for another round of news from America's team. Watch until the end so you don't miss any news and sign up to stay tuned for everything that comes out about the Cowboys.
There's not a lot of familiarity between the Dallas Cowboys and Buffalo Bills in recent times, making for an uncommon opponent that could make their coming matchup in Week 15 a ferocious one. But there's one player in North Texas who knows more about upstate New York than most, and that person is Stephon Gilmore. That's because Gilmore was the 10th overall pick by the Bills in 2012, going on to spend the entirety of his rookie contract, including a fifth-year option, in Buffalo, where he also earned his first Pro Bowl honor before finding another gear with the New England Patriots, where he'd go on to routinely face the Bills at Orchard Park. They have a great fan base, one of the best fan bases in the league, said Gilmore of the challenge facing the Cowboys in Buffalo. I've had some great games there. It's a great organization. One thing Gilmore is more than accustomed to is playing winter football in the brutality of the Northeast, but the forecast appears to call for mild temperatures and moderate wind on Sunday, 4 days away from kickoff, but it's well known that lake effect weather can change in the blink of an eye. It's something the Cowboys will continue to monitor as kickoff draws near. You just never know there, said the former NFL Defensive Player of the Year. Just have to be ready for whatever element that comes. Weather aside, the biggest focus for the Cowboys will be shutting down Josh Allen and the Bills' offense, and that means trying to bottle up Stefon Diggs, older brother of Trevon Diggs, and the latter isn't shy about sharing some inside information to help Gilmore get his job done and to help Dallas' chances of escaping with a victory. He knows him a lot, and we talked about it a little bit during training camp, said Gilmore of Diggs' advice about his brother. I'm also going to go through my normal process and study him, and hope to play well against him. Stopping Allen will go a long way to keeping Diggs and other weapons like Gabe Davis and Dawson Knox at bay, along with working to halt James Cook without the presence of Jonathan Hankins. Allen has only been sacked 18 times this season, and that's tied for the fewest in the league, so the Cowboys' league-leading pass rush will have its hands full up front while Gilmore, Bland and the secondary operate behind them. Josh Allen is a great quarterback, Gilmore added. He can throw the ball, he's got a strong arm, and he can run the ball, plus he's got good receivers. I think it'll be a strong challenge for us, but I think we'll be ready. Last week, Gilmore played the best football of the season, helping to force takeaways and deleting yards after the catch with critical tackles, time and again, and there appeared to be an added oomph in his already solid play. That's because there was one, seeing as A.J. Brown called him old. Gilmore explained why that trash talk not only resonated, but helped him find a gear that rivaled his 2019 season. Just trying to prove myself, he said. That's really what it was. It was a little bit of fire in me trying to prove myself. I wasn't talking trash. I was just being physical and talking with my play. It lit a fire in me. You have to prove yourself every year. You could have played great last year, but this is a new year. Truer words have rarely been said, and Gilmore will have yet another chance this week to prove he still has the juice, and entire orchard of it. Zach Ertz just begged his way off the Arizona Cardinals roster, the free agent seeking greener, playoff-bound pastures. A number of landing spots have been suggested and rumored, maybe most notably the Philadelphia Eagles, his former employer. Should the number of landing spots also include the Dallas Cowboys? That's what CBS Sports' Brian Deardo and Cody Benjamin are telling us. Which frankly also tells us that CBS Sports doesn't seem to have much insight into what's happening with the Cowboys at tight end. Writes the experts at CBS, while Ertz would assuredly prefer a move back to his beloved Eagles, Dallas might be able to offer an even cleaner path to pass-catching opportunities. It'd be weird to see him wearing the star, but eyeing a real playoff run, why wouldn't the Cowboys consider it to give Dak Prescott even more help? Why? Let us count the ways one Ertz is a former 3-time Pro Bowler. But he's 33, and according to one NFL scout we've talked to, age has robbed him of the ability to get downfield. He's a safety valve guy now, at best. Indeed, in 7 games this year, he's got 1 TD and 27 receptions for 187 receiving yards. 2. While it's always smart to be in the never say never club, Ertz in Dallas would likely be nothing but a progress stopper for young backup tight ends Luke Schoonmaker and Peyton Hendershot. 3CBS should familiarize itself with Jake Ferguson. Ferguson now has 51 catches for 570 receiving yards and 5 touchdowns, ranking him with most any Pro Bowl consideration tight end in the league. He is a Dak Prescott favorite, especially in the red zone. And he's a Coach Mike McCarthy favorite in an important way. Doc on the Big Biscuit tight end. He's a baller. He's a little crazy, but you have to be playing his position. McCarthy on Ferguson. Jake has been tremendous. You just love his passion, and he's increasing the identity of our play style on offense, and that's been huge. Obviously, his production speaks for itself. He does the dirty work, too. That doesn't show up on the stats, but we all love just the way he plays. Ferguson is 24 and in his second NFL season. He's Dallas' number 2 pass catcher behind CeeDee Lamb. And his talents accentuate what McCarthy is trying to do with his Texas Coast offense. Help is always welcome to any roster. But Ertz in Dallas? The Cowboys' position is that help simply isn't needed here. Jerry Jones offers major update on Cowboys' Dak Prescott extension. Dak Prescott has played the Dallas Cowboys into the NFC East lead, inserting himself into the forefront of the MVP conversation, and it sounds like he will be rewarded handsomely for doing so this offseason. Prescott is entering the final year of his current contract in 2024, while counting $59 million against the cap, which is a ripe environment for a new contract to keep him in a Cowboys uniform for the foreseeable future. That is exactly what Jerry Jones has in mind. I've never thought that we wouldn't be making a contract, Jones said to the Dallas Morning News. I think that's the best way for me to say it. The idea of doing it or not doing it has not been on the table from my perspective period at any time here. Jones told the Morning News that a Prescott extension is inevitable. Still, there is a bit of a built-in deadline for Prescott and the Cowboys to come to terms on a new deal. Prescott is due a $5 million roster bonus on the 5th day of the new league year, in March, so it would make sense for the Cowboys to try to have a new contract signed by then. However, it is undoubtable that Prescott's price tag went up this season, both because of the contracts that have been signed by Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson, Justin Herbert, and Joe Burrow's deal with the Cincinnati Bengals, making him the highest-paid quarterback at $55 million, combined with his strong season. After knocking off the Eagles in primetime, Prescott has passed for 3,505 yards with 28 touchdowns to only 6 interceptions this season. Don't pay any attention to the discussion of waiting too long. Jones said on his radio show on 105.3 The Fan. It's meaningless. The only thing that is factual here is what I decide and what we decide as a team and what Doc decides. We know exactly where we are on the contract, years left on the contract, and we should be, and are, about as close on that type of communication. The timing on it remains to be seen. Jerry Jones praises Mike McCarthy despite intermittent speculation that the Cowboys could look to move on from Mike McCarthy, perhaps even replacing him with defensive coordinator Dan Quinn. That doesn't seem to be the direction Jones is heading. He's the busiest man in Dallas, Texas, Jones said of McCarthy on his weekly radio appearance on 105.3 The Fan. If you're gonna call him, you gotta install him. He's not only our coach but also our offensive play caller. That makes for some cumbersome, long weeks. But he's done an outstanding job. I don't know when we've played better against a quality opponent since Mike's been here than we did against the Eagles. Under McCarthy's tutelage, the Cowboys have won 5 in a row and 7 of their last 8 games. It doesn't sound as though McCarthy is any longer on the hot seat, even after some disappointing postseason finishes in recent years. Cowboys still need help to win NFC East even after throttling the division rival Eagles, 33-13 in prime time. The Cowboys still don't control their own destiny either for the NFC East Championship or the number 1 seed in the conference. Dallas' rough loss to the Arizona Cardinals earlier this season could come back to bite the Cowboys, as the Eagles still hold the better conference record. In order for the Cowboys to win the division, it begins with winning out against the Bills, Dolphins, Lions, and Washington. But the Cowboys would need the Eagles to lose at least one more game in the NFC. Philadelphia still has to travel to Seattle to play the Seahawks Sunday before finishing with a game against the Cardinals sandwiched between 2 contests against the New York Giants. If the Cowboys win out, and the Eagles lose once, Dallas will win the division and host at least one game in the NFL playoffs.